Hola, this is Kaylee Ross for Spanish 118. This is the language and cultural contact presentation for September. So I decided to log 6 hours for this presentation. I did it in 3 different sections. The first one I logged was No Se Aceptan Devoluciones, which was a movie I found on Amazon Prime. I also watched another movie called La Misma Luna, that was also on Amazon, and then I've been watching Despierta America for about 20-30 minutes every morning for the past week or so. And then for the first one, No Se Aceptan Devoluciones, it was about a dad who adopts his daughter after the mother abandons them at a young age. She ends up being very sick, which was very interesting to me because it showed the difference on how we accept illnesses in American culture, how we try to do as much as we possibly can to keep them well. The kids are usually very aware of their illness, while in this movie, the child was unaware, so she was very spoiled because he just wanted her to have the best life she could have since he didn't know how much longer she had. Another thing I found interesting was how they displayed faith. The daughter constantly was trying to help her father when he would get hurt, and she would sing a special song to kind of bring him back, and it was always faithful that no matter what happened, that song would be what brought him back. The family structure was different than what is usually seen, since the father was the main parental figure in this young girl's life. He also wasn't the most machismo of all of the characters. He tried to be very just upfront with his daughter. I learned 4 very interesting vocab words. The first one was pañal, which was diaper, despertar, which was to open, chaparrito, which was shorty, which kind of sounded funny to me. It was different to hear that, and then golpe, which was to hit. The next one was La Misma Luna. It's another story and kind of coming of age movie. It's about a young boy who is trying to get to his mother who lives in the United States. It stood out to me, her family obligations and his family obligations, because in America we tend to take for granted how we take care of each other. Usually we're concerned about certain bills, mostly water, rent, things like that, but for this family, she's trying to figure out how she can pay for her citizenship in order to give her son a better future, and his family obligation of trying to take care of his grandmother as well as trying to get back to his mom. The friendships also stood out to me because they were very, very close. It was almost impossible to tell who was actually blood related, which was very different to me because I could see that these people genuinely cared about each other so much. It was very interesting as well that I saw how bravery was depicted, as this young boy is going across the Mexican-American border all by himself, and he's trying to just get to his mom because he wants to be with her, and he gets scared, and at times but his bravery really shines through. The few vocabulary words that stood out the most to me were demasiado, which was too, like an excessive, alma, which for soul, pagar, to buy out, and llorar. Those were really interesting to hear. It took me a couple tries to pick them up, but I put on subtitles after a while and ended up figuring out their context. The last one I am logging for this presentation was Despierta America, and that's just essentially like a talk show that we have in America, just Good Morning America, aimed more at the Latino culture, and they use a lot of Mexican celebrities and singers to bring in the various viewers. My favorite word that I picked up from there was chisme, which is gossip. It's a really fun word for me to say. It was really interesting to hear how these women were talking about other women because it's similar to American culture in the way that we nitpick how women look and how they dress, what their makeup looked that day. It was also very interesting to see how similar it was for their beauty and health section, because you'll always see on the front of Cosmopolitan showing 10 ways to lose those last 5 pounds, and then also a dessert, wine or cake or things like that. And this was the same thing on this talk show host was talking about how to make a healthy breakfast, and then the next day they were showing how to make a really decadent cake for any upcoming occasions. The thing I found the most different was how they talked about immigration. It was very different to hear their side of the story because a lot of these people have family members or are first-generation Americans, so the immigration topic for them came at a very different standpoint. And I think it's important for American culture to hear how various viewers are hearing immigration status, that it's not just a one-sided story, that these are real people that are coming over to America. So I thought it was really interesting to constantly see that. And overall, I just really enjoyed seeing the differences and similarities between these two cultures. It was very eye-opening to see that while sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking to see something so different, there's always common denominators between them. And it was also interesting to actually watch the movies and try to pay attention to them, since a lot of times I'll put on a movie and just leave it on as background noise, but now I was actually paying attention and watching the story, how it developed, and trying to really understand what the actors and writers were trying to tell me. So thank you, and have a great week, guys.